Page 94, 3-minute technique. This one is about imitation. Imitation is when you have one voice or one hand doing something, and then another voice or the other hand does the same thing. They imitate each other. Yeah. And you see it here at the beginning of this, the first measure is just a pentascale, C pentascale. The second measure, same thing up here. That's imitation. So it's then a measure 5. The pattern changed, but we're still going to do imitation. That's imitation. That's all it is. I'm not really going to do a play with me on this. You can do that. This page, I hope, is just eighth notes for the most part, and each hand is doing the same thing at different times for the most part. You have to move the right hand, but you have a measure rest to do it in, so big deal. If you have any questions about it, let me know. They're telling you at the bottom of the page, go back to page 91 and find the imitation. Well, find it. What is it? When the saints go marching in, you have this, and then you have this. That's imitation. It doesn't. This is different. But at the beginning it was imitation. You'll find imitation a lot used in music. Now on page 95 on the music theory, let's just briefly go through this. They want you to draw notes for 3 pentascales, 3 C pentascales. Down here it's C, for this C, for this C, and for this C. Well, that means you're just using these notes. You draw the notes in the music, draw the notes for these things in the music. If you have questions, let me know. You should know the names of all these notes, I hope by now. On the second one, they want you to circle seconds and thirds for each measure. Then name each note in the blanks. So like the first measure, you have a D and an E. Is it a second or a third? Well, circle second or third, depending on which it is. In this case, it's a second. Seconds just go up or down one note. And second measure here, well, that's this one. That's a third. And then the third measure, these, that's a third. And the last measure, these, that's a second. Okay, and then put in the names of the notes. Number 3, they want you to sight read those lines. You use either hand. It's treble clef. It's 1, 2, 3, res, res. See, when you sight read, you're doing everything all at once. The notes, the rhythm, the articulation, the dynamics, it all. You try and do it all. The second line. Huh. See, sort of moderately loud, wherever you think that is, that's sight reading. It's good practice. I strongly recommend sight reading. I recommend that you sight read music that is easier than what you're working on, generally. Don't try and sight read music you're working on, because that should be a challenge for you. The sight reading, you should be able to just sit down and play it. So pick easier music to do that. I'd say go back to the previous book and do that one, except you've probably already been through the previous book, and in this case, there is no previous book. So you just find a book, a beginner's book, an introductory book or something with real easy music in it, and you use that for sight reading. If you have pieces that you haven't played for years or whatever, you can go back and try reading through those again. That's like sight reading too. And then at the bottom, the teacher is playing different things that hear these things, and you're supposed to hear, and is it a second or a third? Remember, a second is edgy. Those are seconds. Thirds are a little more comfortable. You can hear a third okay, but a second, and it's kind of a difference between them. So you're supposed to be able to tell what they are. So what is this? And then this, and this, this, and this. And you put in the seconds or thirds based on what you think it is. Well, that's a second. That's a third. a third. That's a second. That's a third. Well, I just gave you the answers.